Mr. Happy Living here. I love entrepreneurs and artists and athletes and innovators and people from every walk of life that have discovered their reason for being on this planet. And that's why I love Bakari Grant. He's an athlete and an innovator and an awesome guy. And he just had a brand new baby too. So Bakari, welcome to the Something Significant Show.
How's it going, Matt? Appreciate it. I appreciate you having me.
Right on. So tell our viewers and listeners about yourself and the exciting things you're doing to contribute to the world these days.
So about myself, I won't go too far back. So recently retired from pro football, played my years up in the Canadian Football League over the past 8 years, and got heavy into community. Well, let's not lie about it. So Matt, just for the viewers, me and Matt went to UC Davis. We both played for the Aggies, different time periods a little bit, but back with the Aggies, I got introduced into a different aspect of football, and that as a community inspiration or as an influence, we got to do a lot of work with Shriners Hospital up in Sacramento. And what that introduced me to was the impact and influence that athletes can have in the community. So I'll kind of speak to that aspect of what kind of impact that had on me while I played in the CFL. Played my first 5 years in Hamilton, fell in love with the city. It's a blue-collar town, 30 minutes south of Toronto. Reminds me a lot of Oakland, where I grew up. And basically dove full on into the community there. Loved it, loved giving back, loved dealing with the kids up there, because in the CFL, a big push was to bring the next generation into football and to try to steal a couple of them away from hockey. So I got involved a lot, really heavily into the community there in Hamilton. And I took that throughout the rest of my career and it played a really big role in my life, seeing the impact. I mean, being in a league for 9 years, one showed me that I was getting old, but two, it turned a lot of those little kids or younger kids into teenagers, and even some of those kids into university students and athletes. And to see that transition, it had a really big impact in my life, and as far as the influence and the impact that I could have as an athlete in the community. So with that inspiration, back in 2016, my daughter went through an autoimmune disease. Well, she has an autoimmune disease, and she went through some tough times, and it really impacted my personal life, which therefore kind of compounded, my interest in having an impact in young kids in the communities that I was an athlete and had some influence in. So I would say I carried that away from football, as well as leadership, culture, and some of those things have now influenced me to my transition into business. That's a great response, great opening. Give me 1 minute on what you're doing today that you're about to introduce to the world tomorrow. Yes. So a big part of a big piece of what I'm involved in today, it's a company called the Wellnest Company. That's WELLNEST. And the Wellness Company is a senior services company that has basically seen the impact on seniors. I myself have 2 parents who are of retirement age. So I'm really kind of impacted by the senior demographic, the baby boomer generation. And that company has taken some big leaps into senior health care and in-home care by providing basically a medical unit, or an ADU, as we call it here in California. It's basically a granny flat, and replacing those in people's backyards, and then providing some services that basically allow parents, grandparents to live in close proximity to their family, be taken care of through their golden years. And it's had a really big impact on me. So quick, I guess that's about 45 seconds. So the last 15 seconds will be my background in interior architecture. I started a design build firm, and basically we've taken the construction arm of that wellness company, and we've decided to make an impact by helping construct these units on these properties.
That's very exciting. It's just coming out, folks. Pay attention. We'll have the website up on the show notes. And I think this could be a really big change to senior assisted living. So
Absolutely.
Congratulations on a big idea, my friend.
Thank you, Matt.
So something significant. I define significance as containing 4 elements: doing things you love, in places you love, with people you love, and creating something of value to others. So it's doing, but it's also giving. And to be a giver, you need to have excess capacity in your life. So the question is, what personal practices do you have, Bakari? Physical, mental, spiritual, financial, emotional? What are your practices to increase the capacity, your capacity, so you can be a giver?
Absolutely. That kind of takes me back to, I said there's 3 elements, and as an ex-athlete now, I got to experience the game day atmosphere, which means it starts, the week before in preparation, but really the night before a game. Proper sleep and hydration, proper sleep, proper hydration, and then eating well. So those are 3 elements that I found in the business world, because we don't have practice hours or PA restrictions on how long we can work. So I go pretty hard as far as I stay up late, I wake up early. I don't really stop working throughout the day. And now with COVID, I work from home, I work from the office, I work on the site. So one thing that I found really helps me is if I keep those 3 elements conscious throughout the day, because I will skip meals, and obviously sleep, I try to limit to 5 to 6 hours. And sometimes, body says lay down and you can't go anymore. And then hydration is the 3rd element to that. Those are 3 physical elements that I try to stay conscious of. And Matt, something that we resonate with, and actually you brought to my attention, is I was raised throughout college on a fundamental mindset and skill set and spiritual belief, I guess you can consider it, of the Tao Te Ching, and I practice that pretty heavily. I recently changed over waking up and punching open my emails to I'll read 1 lesson of the Tao Te Ching a day. That's the first thing I look at. It's positive. It kind of resets my mindset, and it keeps me in a space where I can open up and give to others without having some heavy things still on my mind from either the night before or emails that kind of bog me down in the morning.
That's a great answer. And folks, I wrote a blog post about what Bakari is talking about, our stealth training when we were athletes in college, and it's called The Undercover Tao. And Kyle, let's just put that in the show notes, and people can read about it if they're interested.
Absolutely.
Good stuff. Great start, Bakari. You know how much we love our sponsors, so let's take a quick commercial break. Mr. Happy Living here. I love good things made by good people. That's why I love Casandrino's oil, made from olives soaked in the Grecian sun for months and picked by hand with care. You'll love it too. Grab a bottle today and get 50% off your first subscription order. Shop the World Wide Web at Casandrinos.com. That's KASANDRINOS.com. Use coupon code HAPPYLIVING50 and I'll donate 15% off every order placed during the month of September to WYTV7. Okay, welcome back, everyone. Right after this show, go buy yourself some Casandrino's oil. You're going to love it. Now let's get back to it with Bakari Grant. So Bakari, in my second book, Turning Inspiration into Action, which I think you've read now, I explore the idea that major life transformations and discovery of purpose often comes from devastation, some terrible illness, a sudden death. But a happier way to create transformation is using inspiration. So my question for you is, was there a specific moment or situation when you discovered your purpose? You discovered the life that you were meant to live?
I'll say that's twofold. There's actually two major moments in my life. And the first one is less of a moment and more of an experience. It was when I started playing football. So I grew up in Oakland at a time when things were kind of volatile as far as death rate, homicide, and the war on drugs as just in the city. And I got into football early. I wanted to start actually when I was 7, and it ended up starting when I was 8 because I was too young. They told me to come back a year later, which upset me a little bit, but put a chip on my shoulder. So when I got into football, though, what I found is I had some really, really good mentors as far as coaches. And what they taught me was elements of football that I can pull away from the game and apply to my normal everyday life. And I wasn't much on goals, obviously, as an 8-year-old kid or, what I could do for the world. But I did understand at that moment dealing with some teammates and dealing with some issues. And I played for the Oakland Dynamites. Shout out to the Dynamites, which is, that's a middle of East Oakland team. And so we got a wide range of kids. And what I began to understand is that no matter what different level of life or economic background that any of these kids came from, we all had different experiences that we related back to the game and were able to take away. But what it did show me was that I had it a lot better than some other kids. And granted, some other kids had it better than me, but the inspiration was that we all got treated the same. It wasn't, I felt sorry for you because you came from this place or that place, or I'm going to give you a better position because you came from this place or that place. And that's what's inspired me so much about football is the wide variety of kids that end up loving the sport, playing the sport, and attraction to the sport. And basically it showed me the impact that I could have as a coach. Now, I'll probably never be an official coach, but what it did teach me was that mentor, what a mentor can be in a child's life, and for me, particularly a young Black man's life in America, dealing with some significant and very pointed issues that we have to kind of approach on an everyday basis. So it inspired me for my life goal, which little long-winded for this conversation, but one of my life goals in a mentorship program that will perpetuate a cycle of mentorship and education from kids from Oakland. So that's one of my inspirations. My second inspiration actually came from my daughter's illness when she contracted autoimmune disease called Kawasaki disease. And man, Matt, I tell you, the power that little girl showed. She was, I believe, 6 years old at the time. And I mean, weekly blood draw, she was in the hospital for weeks on time. And, the biggest impact that it had on me was the fact that she missed my birthday one year, 2017, because I was in training camp and she was supposed to come up the day before. And she was in the hospital and she had to get treatment. Her biggest upsetting moment was the fact that she wasn't going to be there for my birthday, that she thought she was letting me down because she was in the hospital. And the strength and selflessness that it took just showed me and gave me a different perspective on the world, on my life, on things that I complained about on a daily basis that I think we all have put into perspective in 2020. But that has been an inspiration from the moment she got sick to this day, and will forever kind of, give me that perspective about life and what's really important and what really matters.
Looking forward to getting to the quote section of this because you're reminding me of some of those quotes. And so what we've gone through is what I call the happy formula, combining capacity plus purpose equals happy. And when you put those two things together, capacity and purpose, the sky's the limit. But I believe the real magic of life comes from the fourth element of significance. So here's the question. How has doing work that creates value to others brought joy and magic into your life?
So, I mean, kind of along those same lines. So on the back end of my daughter's her hardships as far as being in the hospital, kind of as a resident, I decided I went through and picked a charity that I would donate to for that year from my receiving yards and things that I was able to do on the field to be able to translate and connect back to the community. And organization that I decided to support and get involved with is called Hope's Home. That's in Regina, Saskatchewan, if you can say that, city and province. But Hope's Home, what they did was basically take kids with severe illnesses and parents that had children with severe illnesses. They care for them. They make room for the parents to have days to, breathe and do what they do. Some of these are working parents. Some of them are full-time job taking care of their kids. And when I got involved with this organization, basically I decided to be a representative in any way that they saw fit. And they did a fundraiser one time where they sold my jersey and some other football memorabilia. And basically my ability to connect with the people, these were other donors and supporters of this organization. And when I connected with the folks that were supporting this organization, I developed some relationships that will be lifelong. It's the folks that were involved with this organization were so giving of themselves. It was businesses and personal. And when they came together for this one night, it was their major fundraising night. And when they came together for that night, everybody was giving. I mean, from the stories to the donations to the inspiration. Moments like that inspire me and show me that I'm on the right path. I mean, yeah. One of the ladies and gentlemen that I met at this event, now my kids consider grandparents. They're Canadian grandparents, and every birthday they call, they talk to them, they have a relationship with them, and it just goes to show you that the life we live, we attach a lot of times to the material things or the experiences, and it just goes back to show you that it's relationship based. And the stronger you develop these relationships, to me, that's inspiration. That's what pushes us forward in life, is that human connection.
Now, so that's a great story. Awesome story. It gives me goosebumps thinking about it. That's looking backwards. Now let's put that same question about giving to others and bringing joy into your life. Can you imagine, tell the audience what it's going to feel like when you have your first granny set up and you've actually changed this family's dynamics that they're caring for their parents. What's that going to feel like? I mean, I know I get a charge in some of
I was going to say,
books, but I can't imagine what that's going to be like.
Now you're giving me goosebumps. So, and the reason, again, Matt, the reason that this is such an inspiration when we talk about the wellness company is the mission is we help save lives. And the fact of the matter is, our goal and mission is solely to help save lives. And when I say that, I don't say that in a charity way. This is a for-profit business. Don't be mistaken by that fact. But when you talk about inspiration and the feeling you get, again, I have parents who are of retirement age, but the feeling that you get when you can help someone, bring a family member, when my parents deal with my kids, that feeling that you get to see the happiness, the relationship, the history, the transition of generational stories go back and forth. That's what inspires me. That's what I get excited about, is the fact that you take someone who either for whatever reason is away a distance or away from in time. When we're talking about proximity, we're talking about a backyard. So when someone can leave out their back door, walk 10 feet and see their grandparent, see their parent who has been either in a nursing home or living in another city because that's where they're based. When you talk about that, I'm a mama's boy now, Matt. It gives me goosebumps to imagine my kids having a forever ability to develop a relationship with their grandmother. I mean, the stories that they get to hear now, and granted, my mother's in full capacity as far as she doesn't stop moving. But, if she was of age where she needed that care, that level of care, that's what to help, because again, a 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 12, 20-year-old dealing with a parent or a grandparent, that gives life. when you think about why parents live on, why people move on, is they get that inspiration, that life from that next generation. And that to me is what's exciting.
Oh, it's great. Really great.
Yeah.
Okay. Sadly, we got to start wrapping things up here, but let's do a lightning round. And
Absolutely.
what I want to do is read one of my very favorite quotes and then have you respond by telling us what it means to you. Okay. No more than 45-second answers.
I'll try to keep it to 30.
Ready?
Ready.
Set, go. Once you get where you want to be, you're not there anymore.
I think that quote has to be about a growth mentality. I lend to think that I love growing, I love learning, and if I ever feel like I'm at where I'm supposed to be, I'm looking for the next direction in every corner of the room.
Boom, out of the park. Okay, number 2, your day belongs to another's dream.
Interesting. I take that two ways. One, if you don't set goals, I believe that you're living to achieve other people's goals and you're working to achieve others' goals. Two, it takes me directly to my children. I work for generational influence. Personally, I want to see my kids do better than me, the same way my mother wanted us to do better than her. So I would say that I'm working towards my kids' dreams as much as my own.
Awesome. That quote was given to me before I'd been cut by the Saskatchewan Roughriders. So I'd been up there in Regina. And I was looking for some magic, and I went and met with a guy who had played pro ball. And he told it to me in this context that, look, dude, you're getting ready to go to the Raiders, and you're trying to figure out how to make that team. But your day belongs to, so many other athletes would love to be who you are. So
Absolutely.
It was a story about gratitude, and it's
Absolutely
changed my life. I didn't make the Raiders, but I got the quote. It changed my life. Okay.
Hey, sometimes it's about that too.
Number 3, you're perfect just as you are, and you could use a little improvement.
I think that touches again on the growth mindset for me. I think, what we struggle with in this day and age with so much influence, so much noise, is a clear understanding that we are perfect within all our flaws. We are perfect today because we're supposed to be here today. There is no other way to be but the way we are. But that also doesn't mean that we can't improve tomorrow. And I think I live by the motto I learned in football, and that's 1% better every day. And if you can do that, you'll always improve in life. So I think that touches directly on that.
All right, we're doing good here. Other people's opinion is none of your business.
Absolutely. I mean, if someone, again, I think the hardest part to understand about that sometimes is everyone doesn't know our vision. So their opinion about us today may not be about the path or the journey that we're on. Everyone only has so much insight into our journey. So again, if it's not said to me, it's not my business. That's another one I relate to that. So I just try to be better every day. I think it relates to the previous one as well.
Very good. Okay, last quote. Maybe one of my favorite ever. Whatever you can do or dream you can do, begin it. Boldness has genius, power, and magic in it. Begin it now.
What I guess that relates to another quote for me, and maybe this is just my way of dodging it a little bit. But they say, hard work, you get lucky when you work hard, or something to that extent. Is the harder you work, the luckier you are. And I think it relates to that, is to say to, it's, for me, it's affirmations. I say affirmations every morning, every night. If I go through a hard time during the day, I say them about 4 or 5 times a day. But again, I think they're to inspire action. Words alone don't get it done. And perfect example is why I reached out to you and why I look to you as a mentor is because everything that you've spoken to me about, it's about action, whether it's things you've done or things you're doing. They're all based in action. And without the action, words are words. So I think it relates directly to take action today, now.
Great. Good stuff. Okay, Bakari, just take a minute or two and share any parting remarks or comments that you'd like to give to our audience.
Absolutely. I would say, again, learning in life and consistently growing, um, leaving football, reaching out to folks like Matt, who has been a great, not only inspiration, but a resource for me as far as reaching this level of happiness. And that's different for everyone's journey. But what I've realized is that the power of relationship, it's always been built into my life with teammates and coaches and family. But to take a leadership position and have to reach out and develop relationships has shown me not only the power, but again, the ability to open up different lanes, avenues, and ways to progress in life to the place that we're supposed to be. And
Yeah.
I love happy living and everything it represents, and the way that it makes me dig deeper, even with this podcast alone, but also with the books and the blogs and everything that Matt puts out into the world. So selfless plug, GSS Incorporated is is the design build firm that I'm working with, and I'm reaching out to Matt to make sure that I'm staying on task and maintaining a happy mindset and chasing significance. And the way that I'm doing that is through the wellness company, which again, Matt will share some of the links and some information about that company and how it's inspiring me and making a huge difference in the world. So I look forward to moving forward in my purpose and with that company.
Very, very good. All right, everyone. That's it for now. If you're inspired by today's show, please donate what you can to WITV7 so we can keep reaching ordinary people ready to create extraordinary lives. Or buy tons of olive oil and I'll do the donating. Thank you, Bakari. I'm inspired by the goodness that you're putting into the world.
Thank you so much, Matt. I appreciate everything you're doing. I'm sure you'll inspire millions of people, and I appreciate that I can be a part of that.
Thank you. And thank you, WITV7, for hosting and promoting our show. A special thank you to our sponsors for the entire month of September, Casandrino's Olive Oil and Happy Living. Remember, the more you buy, the more I'll donate. So buy a lot and tell your friends to buy some too. Most especially, thank you, viewers and listeners. You'll find links to websites and social media and all things Bakari Grant. Find him, friend him, engage with him about the show, learn about wellness. And finally, from me to you, dear friends, I love you and I want you to be happy. We do what we do here on the Something Significant show to inspire you to make the most out of your life, to believe as I do that a better self is always possible today and every day for the rest of our lives. And so, whatever you can do or dream you can do, begin it. Boldness has genius, power, and magic in it. Begin it now. Till next time, I'm Matt Gersper. You are awesome, and this is the Something Significant show.